1997's Wishmaster is a Wes Craven film that was directed by Robert Kurtzman. It follows our protagonist Alex, played by Tammy Lauren, as she unknowingly unleashes an evil out into the world known as the Jinn. The Jinn grants wishes, collects the souls of the wishers, giving them the be careful what you wish for kind of experience. And because Alex was the one to set him free, he needs her to grant 3 wishes so he can open a portal between his world and ours. Hi, my name is Madison. Welcome back to my channel. I know. I started this YouTube channel and immediately went on hiatus. 2 videos in. As it turns out, filming and editing your own YouTube videos takes a lot of time. And I'm a mother. Bitch, I'm a mother! No drama! But recently, I had somebody comment under one of my videos asking me to review Wishmaster. And of course, I am obliged to please my audience. And so here we are back at it again. And just getting into it, I will say I had never seen Wishmaster before, which is surprising because I have a long list of campy late 80s to late 90s horror films that I love and that I latched onto as a kid. And Wishmaster definitely feels like that. As an adult, you don't take it too seriously. It's pretty corny. There's a lot of plot holes, but it's fun. The effects are cool to see. We of course love Wes Craven. We love Robert Englund, Tony Todd. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Not every horror film needs to be deep thinking and prophetic and poetic and, let's be real, pretentious. Sometimes it can just be a fun ride, and that's what Wishmaster is. Just a campy, kooky, fun horror film. It definitely has its cons, which I will talk about, but it's just such a good time. It's such an easy watch. But anyways, I'll wrap up this yap and let's go ahead and jump into the movie. We open up our movie and our opening credits with the DIY project. Somebody's crafting a stone, a sorcerer's stone, if you will. At this point, I freaked out because I didn't know Robert Englund nor Tony Todd would be in this film, and that's so exciting. And if you don't know, Robert Englund plays Freddy Krueger. Tony Todd, may he rest in peace, plays Candyman. After the opening credits, we then get some exposition on screen. Once in the time before time, God breathed life into the universe, and the light gave birth to angels, and the earth gave birth to man, and the fire gave birth to the Jinn, creatures condemned to dwell in the void between the worlds. Yeah, in my research, I saw it mentioned that jinns are made up of fire without smoke.
Yeah, that's hellfire, all right.
One who wakes a jinn shall be given 3 wishes. Upon granting the 3rd, the unholy legions of the jinn shall be freed upon the earth. Fear one thing only in all that is. Fear the jinn. Period. Say no more. I'm scared. We then go into a blast from the past, Persia, 1127 AD. Off screen, you can hear a sultan consulting with the jinn, and the jinn's like, go ahead and make your next wish, girl. And the sultan basically says, show me wonders. And the jinn said, say less. Inside the palace, chaos is erupting. People are turning into walls. People are turning into snakes. People are having skeletons bust out of them, and then the skeletons will attack. It's a mess. It's chaos. And there's one guy running around trying to figure everything out. This is the sorcerer, I guess. The sorcerer goes to the sultan, and he's like, hey, you need to stop, because as soon as you make that 3rd wish, he's going to open a portal between our worlds and let all his homies in. And that's when the sorcerer takes out the stone, sorcerer's stone. Okay, he takes out this ruby-like stone and traps the jinn within. From there, we jump to present-day America, where Professor Beaumont, aka Robert Englund, Freddy Krueger, is standing at a dock waiting to be delivered a statue. This is the statue of Ahura Mazda. Him and his colleague are waiting there to get the statue. The crane operator who's taking the statue off the ship is blasted. Okay, he's drinking on the job. He's fumbling the statue. It's going all over the place. Professor Beaumont's assistant, he goes and he's cursing out the crane operator. And of course, he decides to stand right under the statue so that when the statue eventually falls from the crane, it lands right on top of him. Dock workers immediately rush to the scene. However, one dock worker notices out of the busted up statue is a red ruby inside. He pawns it. He pawns it for like $200 too. He pawns it. The pawn shop owner takes it to be appraised at a very fancy establishment. Now, this is where Alex works. She's the appraiser. And we cut to Alex at a tennis court with her friend. What was his name? John or Josh? Josh. Alex and Josh are having a tennis match, and Josh is not one to take no for an answer. Alex makes it clear that she would appreciate a platonic relationship with Josh, but Josh is like, girl, you know you want me. No means no. I promise no means no. So back at Alex's office, she is appraising this stone, which turns out is a fire opal. I love opal. It's not my birthstone, but I love the look of opal. I did not know that opal could in fact look like this. So even though this is costume jewelry, it could be fire opal. I wish it would have looked like this because that's much prettier, but I digress. I wasn't a part of the costume committee. She is checking this thing out, assessing its value, when she keeps seeing flashes of something in the stone. Eventually she breathes on it. She breathes that this awakens the jinn. She is not feeling too great about this, so she wants to take it to Josh, who works in the geology department of their university, to check it out.
Hey y'all, so at this point in my recording, my camera had died, and after I put in a new battery and picked up recording, I didn't realize that I had skipped ahead a little bit in the story. So at this point, Alex takes the stone to Josh while she goes, and I guess she's a basketball coach. She goes to do that. Josh has the stone, has it under a microscope, has it under a laser that splits the stone into fours, releasing the jinn. And so that's where we are right now.
So the jinn is now free, and he's looking rough. He really gave me the vibe of if the creeper from Jeepers Creepers and an alien from Mars Attacks bred, and there you have a prepubescent jinn. And the jinn does this throughout the whole movie. He baits people into making wishes, and he's like, are you hurt? Do you wish that this pain would stop? Everybody, instead of being like, no, they go along with it. So Josh, of course, is like, yeah, I wish it would stop. And the jinn just like sucks his life force out, which makes the jinn full grown. You know those toys that you put in water and then they grow when you leave them in the water for a few days? That's what happens to the jinn. He's able to then get up fully formed and go and grab his stone, the fire opal. This scene very much gave me Clive Barker's Hellraiser vibes, like the music, how he like expands and how he's growing back to his full form or whatever. It gave me the vibe of when Frank came back in Hellraiser, when his brother bled on the floor and he like grows back to life, just on a much tamer scale. This is happening simultaneously while Alex is still with her girls at the basketball court, and she is sensing this. She is feeling this play out, and I think maybe she even sees it. She goes to the lab where the police are already on the scene, and she finds Josh. They're dead. She finds, I think his name is Detective Nathanielson, Lieutenant Nathanson. In another part of the city, a homeless man is loitering outside of a pharmacy. This homeless man's not really doing anything. He might be bothering customers, but the pharmacist comes out and he's like, hey, you got to go. The homeless man does in fact get gone, but the whole time he's talking trash. He is wishing evils on him. Basically, I hope you die. I hope you die. And the jinn, who just so happens to be nearby, is like, do you mean that? The homeless man reluctantly is like, yeah, I mean that. Well, what would you have happen hypothetically? Like, what would you wish on this man? I hope he gets cancer and dies. So immediately the pharmacist collapses. I don't know what kind of cancer this is. I don't know, but he immediately dies. And the homeless man is like, bye. And he runs off. And the jinn the whole time is like, yes, go tell people that I'm here. Go tell people to make wishes. That's literally, I'm not joking, that's how he talks.
Something which feeds on wishes.
The jinn is serving so much cunt, I cannot. He really says, wishes. You want me to grant you wishes. That is so funny.
Make your wishes.
This is happening. Alex is talking to the police and she's seeing this and she's reacting. She's freaking out and she's like, oh my God, I gotta go. Every time the jinn does something, she sees it. Just know that. She goes home. Her sister Shannon is like, this is not your fault, because Alex of course thinks it is. This is not your fault. You're good. And Alex is comparing this situation to that of a house fire that her family was in, and the only person she was able to save was Shannon. And Shannon was like, girl, that was not your fault either. And if you don't calm down, then you're going to end up back in the hospital. You're going to end up back with therapists. You're going to freak yourself out again. You need to calm down. Instead of being like, yeah, you know what? You're right. She instead goes, there's something going on here. I'm gonna get to the bottom of it. You sound like you need a therapist. You sound like the grippy socks are coming. You sound like you're a danger to yourself or others. At least keep it to yourself. Don't raise alarm bells. But then again, this is not really called back to again until maybe like the last 5 minutes of the movie. This house fire, this trauma, her behavior towards all of it, it's not relevant to the movie really. She has a nightmare after this. That's kind of the extent of seeing her trauma. So in her quest to figure out why Josh died, why she's having these like visions reports of this creature coming and killing people. She's trying to trace back the origins of the stone. She goes to the pawn shop owner who brought in the stone. That takes her to the dock worker, and the dock worker is like, yeah, that statue was for Raymond Beaumont. And she's like, oh, I know Raymond Beaumont. We know Raymond Beaumont too. His name is Robert Englund, and he's Freddy Krueger. She goes to Beaumont and she's like, hey, I need to know a little bit more about this statue that you were inquiring. Was it jeweled? What's the backstory on it? And he basically says, I don't care too much about like the origins of the statues. I just like collecting the statues. Whatever. He refers her to another professor who is like a professor in mythology. But while this interaction is happening, the djinn is on the hunt again. He's walking through what I believe to be the college campus. People are seeing him in broad daylight. They're seeing his face. He goes into a medical research area, finds corpses, and begins to take the face from one of the corpses. Meanwhile, a med student walks in and is like, what the fuck are you doing? And the djinn is like, do you wish not to see this? And the med student, instead of being like, what the fuck, I'm calling the cops, says, uh-huh. So he blinds him. He takes the corpse face, throws it on his face, and bam, he's a brand new man. He's a whole person now. Again, Alex is seeing all of this, and while she's with Professor Beaumont, she falls to the floor screaming, like hyperventilating, freaking out, screaming. And then she just gets back up and she's like, I'm fine. And they continue on having a conversation. It's a very awkward scene.
Alex! Raymond! What's the matter?
And I wish she would have just like ran up out of there instead of them continuing to talk. But I guess it was setting up for scenes later because he's like, oh, you and your sister should come to my party that was supposed to be for the broken statue. Alex then goes to find Professor Derleth, who is in charge of, like I said, mythology, ancient folklore. And she's like, hey girl, I got a problem and I need some help. Derleth gives Alex the rundown and she is like, well, this was referred to the ancient firestone or the secret firestone. It is said to contain an evil djinn that plans to let his people into our world to take over. But in order to do that, whoever set him free has to be granted 3 wishes. And it needs to grant other people wishes so that it may take their souls to feed on. And of course, Alex is like, so a genie. Derleth is like, in ancient Arabia, genies were not cute. These jinns were not cute. They were a source of evil. They were not Robin Williams in Aladdin cute. From here, we follow the djinn for a bit, and this is when like the wishes get kind of cool. I love the concept of fuck around and find out, or be careful what you wish for. It's how he gets these people to wish. It's kind of weird, but I like what happens. The djinn is at a department store getting his suit and tie. A department store worker, Ariella, she's helping him and she's checking him out, and he's like, you ever wish for stuff? You ever wish for something? And he basically implies, you know, you're gonna lose your worth when you're not pretty anymore. Like your lips are gonna fade. Like you're not gonna always be like this. And he's like, well, what would you wish for? I wish I were beautiful forever. I could be beautiful forever. And he said, done. Turns her into a department store mannequin. And it is so creepy. I think this wish might be my favorite wish. From here, since the djinn is on a mission to get Alex to grant the 3 wishes, he needs her home address. So he goes to the police station to talk to Detective Nathanson, to see if he can get her home address. This is one of those things that you kind of have to ignore, but I'm gonna bring it up for just the sake of me talking trash. How did he knew to go to this police officer who was on this case that involved Alex by some shred of coincidence. He knew to do all that, but he couldn't just find her. You're an all-knowing being. You're a demon. Like you're akin to that of the devil, who is like has a lot of power. Like you couldn't just sniffed her out. You couldn't have just, your spidey senses couldn't tingle. You have those dingle dangles on the back of your head. They couldn't have fished her out. You had to go to Detective Nathanson. They're just trying to fill runtime. He goes to the detective lieutenant, and he's like, hey, can I have her address? And the lieutenant's like, no, you can't. The lieutenant, unprompted, out of nowhere, for no reason, is like staring behind the djinn at a guy who's like under arrest. And Nathanson is like, that guy has walked on all of his charges, all the murders that he's been accused of. He's walked on all charges. I would just love for him to kill somebody in front of us so that we're all witnesses and he could go down forever. And the djinn said, I got you. So this guy gets up, grabs a gun, starts shooting people, rips a cop's jaw off. It was pretty brutal. In that distraction, the djinn is able to get Alex's card for her job, so he now has the the address of where she works. There's a montage scene where Alex figures out what we already know, that the djinn takes souls of those who ask for wishes, and that he needs Alex to do the 3 wishes, and then he can bring his homies over. The djinn then goes to Alex's place of work, the appraising place, her office or whatever. The djinn cannot get in because there is a security guard. The security guard is like, you got to get gone. You can't just come in here. Like, if you don't have an appointment, if nobody is, expecting to see you, you need to go. And the djinn is trying to like bait him into making wishes. And he says something along the line of like, do you know how annoying it is to have ultimate power, but you can't use it unless somebody wishes you to? I'm like, girl, speak on it. But he's like, what do you wish for? Do you wish anything of me? And the security guard is like, I wish you would leave. And then he turns around and has to start leaving. And it's so funny because he's like, no. And that's as simple as it is. You could just wish this gone. But the security guard up and he's like, I would love to see you get through me. All right. He didn't say I wish, but whatever. The djinn turns him into glass and walks through him. The djinn goes and talks to Alice's boss and is like, give me her home address. And the boss is like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Why should I? And the djinn takes like something off of his desk, turns it into pure gold and puts diamonds in it. And he's like, cause I can do that. And the boss is still reluctant, but he was like, what else can you give me though, if I did do this for you? And the djinn is like, whatever you can imagine. And the guy is like, make me a millionaire and we'll call it a deal. And this wish is messed up because instead of like, I don't know, a lot of money falling on top of this guy or something painful like that, it shows his mother making the boss the beneficiary in the event of her death, and she immediately boards the plane. And after doing all that, the djinn doesn't even show up at her apartment. He actually goes to one of the basketball games that she's coaching, and her sister Shannon is there. And throughout the game, Alex is asking Shannon to use her phone to get in contact with Dr. Derleth? Was that her name? Derleth, the ancient mythology professor, because after her montage and finding out all that she's found out about the djinn, she's like, I'm worried and I need her expertise. For what? I don't know. But anyway, she uses her sister's phone, and then the djinn asks to use the sister's phone right after her and redials the number that Alex just dialed, and I guess gets Dr. Derleth's information. You could have just followed her home from the game. I don't understand. You could have confronted her right there. I mean, with all the power you have, who's gonna stop you? From here, the djinn goes to Derleth's apartment and disguises himself as her for when Alex eventually comes over. I don't even know that he called her and lured her there, or if she just happened to show, I don't know. But she comes over to Derleth's apartment and the djinn is disguised as her. The djinn disguised as Derleth is trying to bait Alex into making a wish, but when that doesn't work, he just reveals himself to her. He basically threatens her to make the wishes or he's going to kill Shannon. She attempts to wish that he would blow his brains out. I don't know if you've looked at how this thing looks, but I don't think that's gonna yield any result that you would want it to. That which is eternal cannot die. That, by the way, was a free wish that he gave her. First time's free, I guess. Alex then wishes to know what he is, so he takes her into the stone and shows her basically the torturing of the souls that he has collected. Yeah, that was a scene earlier where he summoned all the people who made wishes. So we see him summon the lieutenant, the mannequin girl, the homeless man, Alex's boss, and the blind nursing student or doctor student, whatever. Because mind you, they're all still alive, including the mannequin girl who was just put in a stock room. And then you see the eyes roll in the back of the head. It's creepy. All their souls are now being tortured in the stone or in his world. After some scares and being chased around by a hellhound, she wishes that she would be back in her apartment with him not there. And so he grants it. Back in her apartment, she sees a note from her sister saying that she's gonna go to Beaumont's party, the party for the statue. She gets in her car, hightails it over there with the djinn following her. Alex gets to the party, goes inside, but the djinn is stopped at the door by the doorman, who is played by Tony Todd. Rest in peace, King. And at first, Tony's not budging, and I'm sad to say that he does eventually get baited into making a wish. Tony Todd, aka Johnny Valentine, confronts the djinn and is like, hey, you can't get in here. The djinn is talking all kinds of hot shit. He's disguised as a man again. He's trying to bait him into making a wish, which at first Tony Todd is like, or I'm sorry, Mr. Valentine, Mr. Johnny Valentine. At first he's like, you can go now. Like, I'm not here for all this. You need to get to stepping. But eventually he does get baited into making a wish. The wish was something along the lines of like an escape from his current position, his current working position. The djinn takes that and puts Johnny Valentine into a box full of water in a straitjacket. Escape from that, I guess. Inside the party, Alex finds her sister. She sounds crazy. She looks crazy. But the djinn makes his way to Beaumont. The djinn tells Beaumont, you know, I was at this party a while back, the one from the beginning of the movie with all the people who turned into trees and walls and skeletons and stuff. That was a party for the ages. Wouldn't you like to see something like that? I'm paraphrasing, but Raymond was basically like, yeah, I would love it if this party was like that. And the djinn said, say less. People start turning into glass, statues come to life, a lot of blood and guts and gore, which we love. Beaumont throws up what looks like a placenta and dies. I don't know. The djinn is chasing Alex all over the place, and eventually he gets Alex into Beaumont's statue room, and she's cornered. She can't go anywhere. The djinn is like, go ahead and make that third wish, babe. And if you don't, then this is going to continue to happen. Her sister is trapped in a painting that looks to be the house fire that was alluded to earlier. That's as far as that plot point gets. She's being burned alive in the painting. Alex is standing there thinking about what her next move is going to be when she remembers the name of the crane operator, the one who dropped the statue from drinking on the job, Mickey Torelli. She remembered his name from like the newspapers or whatever. And she looks at the djinn and she says, I wish Mickey Torelli was never drinking that day when he dropped the statue, which would mean the statue never broke, the stone was never exposed and able to be pawned off and got into the hands of Alex and unleashed the djinn. And so, forced to oblige, the djinn then gets sucked back into the stone and everything goes back to normal. We jump back a few days prior and everything goes back to normal. Nobody dies, everybody's good. And Alex gives Josh a chance because that was the important thing in this movie. Because it doesn't matter if a woman would prefer a platonic relationship with a man. It's important that he's a nice guy. Of course she almost died and then he died. And of course now she has to give him a chance because now she realized she loves him. At Beaumont's house, the statue of Ahura Mazda is standing where it was meant to stand. But inside, the stone still remains. And inside the stone, on a throne, is the djinn. And he's just sitting there waiting for, I guess, the second, third, and fourth Wishmaster movies. And that, my friends, is Wishmaster, 1997. Like I said, this movie was very fun, very camp. I could not wait to see how the djinn was going to mess up somebody's wish. I wish that the wishes could have happened more organically instead of happening in a way that didn't really make sense or that required him to have to bait them, or if at least the baiting could have been a little more subtle. But I could not wait to see how the djinn was going to misinterpret these wishes. I love that. I, of course, also love the FX. I love the skeleton, the bloody skeleton from the beginning. I love what they did with Robert Englund's innards. I am a sucker for good gore. The mannequin girl, oh my god, that was so creepy. It was overall a fun movie. I will have to watch the other ones. If for nothing, it's definitely not for the plot, but definitely to see how he is going to execute wishes moving forward, because they just have to get more grandiose. I can't imagine they're not going to be cool and fun and gory and weird, and I love that. I am such a sucker for that. Anyways, this has been a fun one. Thank you for joining me on Madison Yaps. Be sure to like, subscribe, watch my other videos, and let me know if there's any movies that you would like me to review. I'll see you on the next one.